Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live life on your terms, free from the pressure to meet others' expectations? As we get older, many of us start to ask questions about what truly matters in life. We've spent decades caring for others, building careers, and striving for goals. But now, at a certain age, we begin to realize that the most valuable thing we have is our time. This video isn't just for those who are looking to embrace their later years. It's for anyone ready to reclaim their peace and joy by focusing on what brings them fulfillment. In today's video, we'll explore the profound journey of embracing freedom, letting go of what no longer serves you, and finding true happiness in the quiet moments of life. You'll hear how to protect your peace by creating meaningful relationships and learn the power of saying no when it matters most. We'll dive into the lessons learned over a lifetime, how to reflect without regret, how to cherish what you have, and how to embrace the future with hope and excitement. By the end of this video, you'll understand why choosing authenticity, gratitude, and intentional living can bring a deeper sense of peace and joy into your life, no matter your age. Whether you're in your 60s, 7 or 0s, or just looking ahead to the future, the insights shared here will inspire you to live unapologetically and savor every moment. Stay tuned, because this video will help you embrace who you are, honor your journey, and start living your best life, starting today. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Living alone honors my independence. As I reflect on the journey that has carried me to the threshold of 70, I've come to realize that one of the most profound, perhaps even sacred, truths I've embraced is the priceless gift of independence. Independence, I've learned, is not merely a practical matter. It's a deep, emotional, and spiritual experience that touches the very core of who we are. For much of my life, independence was about accomplishment. Raising children with love and care, building a career from the ground up, managing a home, juggling a multitude of responsibilities, and constantly adjusting to meet the needs of others. I spent decades weaving my identity through the roles I played for those around me. But as I've grown older, independence has become something far more significant. It is no longer about what I achieve for others. It is about reclaiming the essence of who I am, honoring the journey I've lived as an individual, and embracing the space I now occupy in this world on my own. Living alone has granted me a sense of freedom, a liberation that I never knew I needed but now treasure deeply. It's a freedom that speaks to my soul, a quiet and gentle unfolding of my desires, unshackled from the obligations of past years. My days are entirely my own now, and that simple truth fills me with a profound sense of peace. I wake up each morning to a rhythm that feels organic, a rhythm that flows with my own heart. There is something so deeply satisfying in the silence of my mornings, where the world hasn't yet imposed itself on me, where I can breathe in deeply and feel a sense of release. The hurried rush of accommodating someone else's schedule has been replaced with the luxury of savoring my own time. Every action I take, from preparing my meals to choosing how to spend an afternoon, becomes an intimate act of self-care, a reminder that I am worthy of having my own needs met. I take joy in the smallest things, in the simple act of deciding where to place a cherished photograph or which book to read next, knowing these choices are mine alone to make. This newfound independence is not just a matter of physical space or time. It's a declaration of my autonomy. It's a quiet yet powerful assertion that my life is still mine to live as I see fit. For so many years, I devoted myself to the well-being of others, sometimes joyfully, sometimes at the cost of my peace. I was a partner, a parent, a caregiver, a friend. And those roles, while deeply fulfilling, also required me to set aside parts of myself. I gave of myself so freely, often without hesitation, that I lost sight of my desires, my dreams. In those years, I buried my comfort and peace beneath the weight of duty and love for others. But now, as I stand at this stage of life, I have the incredible privilege of revisiting those parts of myself that were long neglected. Living alone has allowed me to reconnect with the passions and hobbies I once loved, or to discover new ones I never had the time or space to explore before. I take long, leisurely walks, I spend hours in my garden, I read to my heart's content, and sometimes I simply sit in quiet reflection, letting my thoughts wander like the breeze through the trees. It's not that I'm doing nothing, it's that I'm doing everything that truly nourishes me. The satisfaction of living alone comes in making decisions that are entirely my own. There is such beauty in the simplicity of it, the quiet power of choosing without needing to consider anyone else's opinion or schedule. It's not selfishness, it's self-respect. For so many years, my choices were shaped by the needs and wants of others. Now, I have the honor of trusting myself, of prioritizing my well-being without guilt or hesitation. I've come to understand that this is not a rejection of relationships, but an affirmation of my worth. Some people might view solitude as a sign of loneliness or sadness, but I've come to see it as a celebration of freedom, a chance to nurture and honor myself in ways I never allowed before. Living alone at this stage of my life is a powerful affirmation that I am enough, just as I am. It's not about turning away from others. It's about turning inward, toward myself. There is a quiet beauty in this solitude, a profound peace that I hadn't fully realized was missing. In the stillness of my home, I've rediscovered a part of myself that had been buried for so long. The independence I now experience is not a retreat. It is, in fact, a return to the essence of who I've always been. There's a sacred beauty in this independence that is hard to put into words, but it is something I feel deeply in my heart. It's in the simplicity of my surroundings, carefully curated by and for me. It's in the evenings when I reflect on the life I've lived, and I smile, knowing that I've made choices that honor my happiness and my peace. The greatest gift, perhaps, is the peace that comes with knowing I no longer have to explain myself or justify my choices to anyone. Living alone at 70 has shown me that there is no shame in solitude and no sorrow in embracing my independence. Instead, there is joy, there is peace, and there is a quiet strength that grows deeper each day. It is in the knowledge that my life is still my own to shape, create, to live in a way that honors who I am at this very moment. This stage of life has given me a clarity and self-awareness that I simply couldn't have understood when I was younger. Living alone doesn't mean I've stopped loving or caring for others. On the contrary, it means I've finally started to love and care for myself in a way I never fully allowed before. And to me, that is the truest form of independence. An independence rooted in deep self-respect and quiet joy. 2. Solitude brings peace, not loneliness. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. When I was younger, the idea of solitude terrified me. It was a word that echoed with emptiness, a void that felt suffocating. The silence would press in on me as if it had a weight of its own, and I would find myself longing for the chatter of others, the noise, the bustle. Back then, solitude was something to avoid at all costs. A lonely, unfamiliar space that seemed too still, too quiet, and too disconnected from the world I knew. I surrounded myself with people, with activity, with distractions, because it was easier than confronting that silence, that quietude, that inescapable presence of myself. But now, at the age of 70, I've come to understand solitude in a profoundly different way. It no longer feels like a hollow emptiness, but instead a peaceful refuge, a sanctuary of calm that I have learned to cherish day by day, year by year. Living alone has taught me something incredibly powerful. Solitude and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is a heaviness, a deep ache that comes from longing for connection, from feeling forgotten or unseen. It's a sense of emptiness that gnaws at the heart and leaves you restless, unsure of where you fit in this vast, busy world. But solitude, on the other hand, is a gift. A quiet space filled with possibility and presence. It's not an absence of others, but a presence of self. In solitude, I've learned to appreciate the fullness of my own company. It's in the silence where I can breathe deeply, reflect, and feel the freedom to simply be. The gentle solitude of my mornings has become something I look forward to, a sacred time that I treasure more than I ever thought possible. I start my days in solitude, and it's beautiful. I sit by the window with a warm mug of coffee in my hands, letting the steam rise and disappear into the cool morning air. There's no pressure, no expectation to engage with anyone or fulfill any role. It's just me, the soft sounds of the world waking up, and a profound sense of peace. I feel the gentle warmth of the sunlight spilling across the floor, and in that moment, I realize that this stillness is enough. No noise, no clutter, no rush, just quiet contentment. There's something so rich in these small moments, so simple, yet so profound. The way the breeze whispers through the trees and fills the room with the scent of blooming flowers from the garden. The sound of leaves crunching softly underfoot as I take my morning walk. The crackle of a fire in the fireplace as I sit in the quiet of the evening. These things might seem insignificant to someone caught up in the busy rhythms of life, but to me, they are treasures. They are the heartbeat of my peace, and they fill my soul with a deep, quiet joy. It's in these moments that I've come to understand something truly important. Life doesn't need to be loud, crowded, or chaotic to be meaningful. In fact, it's often in the stillness that we uncover the richest parts of our existence. Solitude, far from isolating me, has allowed me to reconnect with the very essence of who I am. In this peaceful space, I've been able to reflect on my life, not with regret, but with a deep sense of gratitude. For the triumphs that brought joy and meaning, for the trials that tested my strength, and even for the heartbreaks that shaped my understanding of love, loss, and resilience. Solitude has given me the clarity to see these experiences as threads woven into the fabric of my life, each one contributing to the person I've become. Of course, there are moments when I feel the absence of others. I miss the sound of laughter shared with friends, the warmth of family around the dinner table, and the conversation that flows easily between kindred spirits. There are days when the quiet seems a little too long, the space a little too wide. I think of those I've lost over the years, friends and family who have drifted away, and I feel that familiar pang of nostalgia, of longing for the times we spent together. But even in those moments, there's a certain peace that comes from knowing the time we had together was meaningful. Their presence in my life was a gift, and in solitude, I can reflect on those moments with deep gratitude. Solitude doesn't erase the love or the connections I've made over the years. Rather, it allows me to cherish them in a new way. When I do spend time with others, whether it's family, friends, or loved ones, those moments feel richer and more intentional. There's no pressure, no sense of obligation, just the simple joy of being present with each other. The time we spend together is all the more precious because it's not a necessity, but a choice. And that's something I've come to realize in my solitude. I don't need to fill every moment with activity or every space with people to feel connected or valued. Solitude has taught me the true meaning of connection, not just with others, but with myself. It has become a space where I can recharge, reflect, and simply be. It's a refuge where I can trust my thoughts, listen to my instincts, and find peace in the person I've become. At 70, solitude is no longer something to fear or avoid. It's a celebration of freedom, of the ability to stand alone, without feeling lost. In the quiet of my own home, I feel whole, complete, and content. It's a space where I can truly live, without the noise of expectations or the pressure of the world demanding my attention. It's a gentle reminder that peace isn't something we find in others. It's something we cultivate within ourselves. And in this stage of life, that peace, found in solitude, is the greatest gift I could ever ask for. 3. Relationships change, and that's okay. At 70, one of the most profound and humbling lessons I've come to learn is that relationships are never static. They're fluid, shifting, evolving in ways we often don't expect. The older I get, the more I understand that change is not only inevitable but essential for growth. In my younger years, I believed relationships were the solid ground upon which everything else was built. They were the center of my world. Friends, family, colleagues, neighbors. I invested my time and energy into the people I loved, celebrating their victories, soothing their sorrows, and working hard to nurture the connections that gave my life meaning. But with time, as it always does, everything changes. Relationships, too, evolve. And what once felt permanent often turns out to be transient. I remember the days when I couldn't imagine life without certain people by my side. But over the years, I've seen how time gently, and sometimes not so gently, nudges us in different directions. Some relationships have deepened, blossoming with age and shared experiences. These bonds, shaped by years of laughter, tears, and mutual understanding, have become treasures. They are the people who have witnessed my most vulnerable moments and still choose to stay. With them, I feel anchored and safe, like the stormy tides of life can never wash us away. Then there are others, relationships that have slowly faded, like the last light of day before sunset. Not because of arguments or anger, but simply because life took us on different paths. People move away, priorities shift, and sometimes, without anyone meaning for it to happen, distance grows. I've struggled with this at times. I used to take it so personally, thinking I had done something wrong, wondering what I could have done differently to hold on to someone I cared about. It used to break my heart, these quiet separations, the soft silences between us. But over time, I've come to realize that not all relationships are meant to last forever. Some people come into our lives like a gentle breeze, brief, but powerful in their impact. Their presence leaves us with lessons, memories, and, sometimes, heartache. Yet, despite the pain, their footprints on our journey are undeniable. These people were meant to be a part of my story for a season, and I've learned to accept that. With acceptance comes peace. A peace that doesn't mean I love them any less, but that I have learned to let go, gently, with gratitude for the time we shared. Living alone has given me the time and space to reflect on what truly matters in my relationships. It's funny, in a way, how solitude has brought clarity. In the quiet of my own home, I've been able to listen more closely to my heart. I've realized that some relationships fill me with joy, light, and warmth, while others leave me feeling drained and heavy. It's become clear which people I want to invest my energy in, those who show up not out of obligation, but out of love, those who make me feel seen, heard, and appreciated. These are the relationships that feel like a balm to my soul. They don't demand constant attention or effort. They exist on a foundation of mutual respect and kindness, a place where both hearts are free to give and receive in equal measure. And then there's the matter of boundaries, something I wish I had understood earlier in life. For so many years, I thought that being a good friend or family member meant always saying yes, and always being available. I gave and I gave and I gave, believing that love meant self-sacrifice. But I've learned the hard way that this kind of giving without balance only leads to exhaustion. It depletes you and makes you feel like you're pouring from an empty cup. Now, I've learned the importance of protecting my time, my energy, and my heart. I've learned to be selective, to choose carefully where I invest my love. And, in doing so, I've found that I have so much more to give to the people who truly deserve it. At this stage of life, I've come to understand that relationships should enrich us, not drain us. Looking back, I can see the relationships that have stood the test of time are the ones that have truly mattered. They are the ones that don't demand constant maintenance or attention, the ones that simply exist in a space of mutual understanding and respect. These are the connections that feel like home, the ones that, even when I am physically alone, remind me that I am never truly alone. They are the people who bring light into my life, who make the silence not feel so empty. Living alone hasn't distanced me from others. In fact, it has deepened my appreciation for the bonds that remain, the ones that still hold meaning. I've learned that change in relationships doesn't have to be a loss. Sometimes, it's a gift. It's the opportunity to embrace the relationships that are meant to stay and let go of those that no longer serve us, with grace, love, and the quiet knowing that everything, in its time, is as it should be. 4. My home reflects who I am. There's an undeniable joy in living alone, a quiet kind of freedom that seeps into the very walls of your space, making it uniquely your own. Over the years, I've lived in homes that were filled with the laughter of children, the chatter of family dinners, and the sometimes chaotic whirl of everyday life. Those years were beautiful, undeniably beautiful, but they were never just mine. My home, in those times, was a reflection of so many people. Their needs, their preferences, their personalities. It was a place where compromise was necessary, where I always had to accommodate others, sometimes at the expense of my desires. But now, at 70, my home is mine, and mine alone. And there is something profoundly freeing about that. It's as though, with every passing year, the house has slowly transformed into a mirror of my soul. It's no longer a space where I simply exist. It's become an expression of who I am, what I value, and the life I've lived. There's something deeply satisfying about knowing that each corner of this place tells a story. My story. The books on my shelves, each carefully chosen over the years, are like old friends who keep me company during quiet afternoons. They're more than just words on pages. They're pieces of me. The photos hanging on the walls, capturing fleeting moments of joy, love, and triumph, are reminders of a life that, though often challenging, has been rich in meaning and purpose. My furniture, carefully arranged not to please anyone but myself, reflects a new sense of peace. It's not about accommodating others anymore. It's about creating a space that feels right for me, a sanctuary where I can be at peace with my thoughts and presence. And there's something so profoundly fulfilling about walking into a room that was designed with no one else in mind. It's a room where every object, every decoration, and every piece of furniture has been selected with care, with purpose, to bring me comfort and joy. This is my space, a reflection of my heart, my history, and my hopes for the future. In a world that so often pulls at us from every direction, demanding our attention, my home has become my retreat, my place of refuge, a place where I can recharge and reconnect with the deepest parts of myself. Living alone has also allowed me to embrace the beauty of simplicity. Without the constant pull to meet others' expectations or desires, I've been able to let go of the clutter, both physical and emotional. My home has become a place of quiet intention, where every item has meaning, whether it's practical or sentimental. There's no pressure here to impress anyone or to live up to some external ideal. The peace I feel is not about appearances. It's about the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing that my home is a true reflection of who I am. It's a place that holds no judgment, no expectations, just pure, unadulterated comfort. This space has come to represent something so much more than just a shelter. It symbolizes my independence, my resilience, and my ability to shape my life exactly the way I want it. There's something deeply empowering about that. When I curl up in my favorite chair with a cup of tea, listening to the soft hum of the world outside, I am filled with a quiet sense of gratitude. This is my space. This is my life. And at this moment, I have everything I need. Creating a home that reflects who I am has also taught me to appreciate the beauty in the present. In this space, I've learned that life doesn't have to be extravagant or constantly busy to be meaningful. There is so much beauty in the small, quiet moments. The way the sunlight filters through the window in the morning, the way the air feels after a deep, cleansing spring cleaning, the comforting routine of familiar surroundings. These are the things that bring me joy, that remind me that my life is rich, even in its simplicity. Living alone doesn't mean isolation. It means living with intention. This is a place where I can invite my loved ones when I choose, a place where I can entertain and share laughter, but also a place where I can find peace in my own company. It's about finding a balance that feels just right for me at this stage of life. A balance between solitude and connection, between reflection and engagement. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. At 70, my home has become so much more than just a roof over my head. It is a sanctuary, a testament to who I have become, a space where I can honor my past, embrace the present, and dream about the future. And in its quiet simplicity, it whispers to me every day that I am enough, just as I am right here in this moment. 5. Freedom from obligations. As I reflect on the last decade of my life, living alone at 70 has revealed to me one of the greatest gifts I never fully appreciated until now. The profound freedom that comes from living without unnecessary obligations. It's something I never thought I'd experience, especially when I spent so much of my earlier years with my life woven together by the threads of duty, love, and the need to please. For most of my life, I was the one who always said yes. Whether it was to family, friends, or work, my identity was built on being the reliable one, the one who always showed up, always sacrificed, and always put the needs of others first. There was a certain sense of pride in being the dependable one. It felt noble, almost sacred, to be there for others. I gave freely of my time, my energy, and my heart. But what no one told me was that over time, this constant giving, this habitual putting others' needs above my own, would leave me drained. It wasn't something I could easily identify at first. I was so used to being the caretaker, the helper, the one who took it all on without complaint. But the years piled up, and the weight of those endless obligations became too much. I began to feel it in the quiet exhaustion that lingered in my bones, in the emotional fatigue that shadowed me every day. Now, in this new chapter of my life, I've come to a place of understanding. It's okay to say no. It's not just okay, it's necessary. I've learned, sometimes painfully, that my time and energy are not infinite resources to be given away freely. They are precious, and I have the right to guard them, to nurture them, to protect them. The power of saying no has become a kind of liberation, a balm for my soul. Living alone has given me the space to finally understand what it means to live for myself. I no longer feel compelled to accept every invitation, attend every event, or maintain relationships out of a sense of guilt or obligation. I've come to realize that saying no doesn't mean I love people any less. It simply means I love myself more. I've learned to set boundaries, to decide what aligns with my values, and to focus on what brings me peace, joy, and a sense of fulfillment. This shift doesn't diminish my love for others. It has deepened the connections I choose to maintain. When I spend time with someone now, it is because I genuinely want to, not because I feel obligated to. The relationships that remain in my life are richer and more authentic. There is a deeper sense of connection because I am no longer giving from an empty well. I can show up for others in a way that feels true to me, rather than out of habit or exhaustion. The truth is, I've learned that time spent out of guilt is time wasted, and time spent with intention is a gift for both myself and those I love. There is a subtle joy in living without the heavy burden of unnecessary obligations. I wake up each day with the freedom to choose how I want to spend my time. I don't have a clock ticking over my head, pushing me from one task to another. My mornings are slow and intentional. I savor my coffee, the warmth of it filling me up inside, without rushing to check off the next thing on a to-do list. In the afternoons, I move at my own pace, sometimes going for long walks in the park, letting nature restore me. Other times, I simply sit by the window, watching the world go by, letting the quiet wash over me. The absence of obligations isn't a void. It's an invitation to live more intentionally, more fully. It's given me the space to pursue the things that truly matter. I no longer feel stretched too thin, no longer feel resentment bubbling up from all the times I said yes when I meant no. Instead, I feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the freedom I've created. But, of course, there are moments when I look back on the years when I gave so much of myself to others, when I said yes out of obligation instead of desire. Sometimes, I wish I could go back and change those moments. Be gentler with myself, set healthier boundaries, and hand on my own needs more. But then I realized that those years, those choices, were a part of my journey. They shaped me and taught me lessons that I needed to learn. They showed me the beauty of giving and showing up for others, but they also taught me the cost of ignoring my limits. At 70, the freedom from obligations is not just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to myself. It's a recognition that I have earned the right to live my life on my terms, without guilt or apology. I've learned that I don't owe anyone my time unless I truly want to give it. I've created space for the things that bring me peace, for the moments that fill me up rather than drain me. There's a quiet power in this freedom, a peace that feels both fragile and strong. It's a gentle reminder that my time is mine to cherish, and that is a gift I don't take for granted. When I tell people that I spend more time alone now, they sometimes misunderstand. They assume that I've become bitter or jaded, that I no longer trust the people around me after a lifetime of disappointment. But the truth is, the opposite is true. Avoiding people isn't about bitterness. It's about peace. Over the years, I've learned that not every relationship is meant to endure. Not every connection is worth the energy it takes to maintain. And that's okay. Letting go of what no longer serves me, whether it's relationships, commitments, or expectations, has given me a peace I never thought possible. It's a quiet affirmation that I am worthy of living a life that feels true to me, free from the weight of obligation. In my younger days, I cast a wide net, desperately striving to be everything to everyone. I longed to be liked, to be needed, to be the person others could rely on in both moments of joy and sorrow. I believed that if I could just meet everyone's needs, if I could be the constant in their ever-changing lives, I would find my purpose. I was driven by the need to be seen, to feel important, and to believe that I mattered in someone else's world. And for years, that's exactly what I thought would bring me fulfillment. It did, for a while. The praise, the gratitude, and the sense that I was essential to those around me gave me a deep sense of worth. I could pour myself into others, knowing that my presence was meaningful and that my efforts were noticed. But as time wore on, I began to realize that this need to be everything to everyone came at a great cost. It left me vulnerable. Vulnerable to relationships that took far more than they ever gave. I poured my energy into people who demanded it, yet never seemed to offer anything in return. I gave pieces of myself away, often without a second thought, because I believed that the more I gave, the more I would be loved, and the more I would be needed. But the truth was, the more I gave, the more I lost. I found myself drained, emotionally depleted, and, eventually, lost. My identity became so entwined with others' needs that I forgot who I was when no one else was around. I had become an echo of their demands, a reflection of their desires, rather than a person in my own right. Living alone, for the first time in many years, has been both a challenge and a revelation. It has given me the quiet space I so desperately needed to reflect on those relationships, those choices I made, and how I allowed myself to be shaped by the expectations of others. It has allowed me to take a step back and realize that I no longer have to be what others want me to be. I don't need to be the savior, the fixer, or the person who always says yes, even when it drains me. I've found the strength to draw clearer, firmer boundaries. I no longer feel obligated to maintain relationships that feel toxic, ones that are lopsided or unbalanced. It's not that I've stopped caring about people. It's that I've learned to care about myself, too. For so long, I feared letting go of people or walking away from relationships. I feared the loneliness, the potential judgment, the whispers behind my back. I thought I needed to keep up with a constant stream of social obligations, to keep showing up, to keep offering my time, my attention, and my love, because that's what being a good person meant. But I've learned that there's a quiet power in choosing not to engage with people who drain my energy. I've come to realize that not every relationship is worth nurturing, and that not every person deserves a piece of my soul. People who thrive on drama, who make everything about themselves, or who take my kindness for granted, those are the relationships I now avoid. I no longer feel the need to accommodate their chaos, their emotional turbulence, or their demands. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. This choice to step back isn't an act of rejection. It's an act of self-preservation. It's about choosing peace over the constant noise of shallow connections. There is something deeply liberating in acknowledging that it's okay to say no, to walk away, to choose solitude when it feels right. There's a profound sense of peace that comes from deciding that my time, my energy, and my heart are precious, and I don't need to give them away to people who won't honor them. In this solitude, I've found a sense of clarity, a stillness that I never experienced when I was constantly surrounded by others. I've traded the clamor of crowded rooms, the meaningless small talk, and the constant need to be on for the quiet comfort of mythos. And in this quiet, I've come to understand something essential. It's not about how many people surround you. It's about the quality of the relationships you cultivate. It's about the depth of the connections you choose to nurture, the ones that bring you light, that make you feel seen, heard, and valued for who you truly are, not for what you can do for others. This realization has been like a balm for my soul, soothing the wounds I didn't even realize I had, wounds that were caused by years of trying to be everything to everyone. Avoiding toxic relationships and stepping away from the noise doesn't mean I'm rejecting people. It means I'm rejecting the idea that I need to be everything to everyone to be worthy. I've learned that I'm enough just as I am. Avoiding people also means avoiding situations where I feel less than who I am, where I feel small, overlooked, or out of place. I no longer put myself in environments where I feel invisible, unappreciated, or disrespected. It's a kind of quiet rebellion, a refusal to settle for anything less than what I deserve. I've come to understand that I don't have to force myself into spaces where I'm not valued. Instead, I've created new spaces, spaces that align with my values, where I can be fully myself without fear of judgment or rejection. These are the spaces where I can connect with those who uplift and inspire me, those who remind me of my worth without needing to be reminded of their own. And the relationships that matter most, the ones that truly feed my soul, are the ones that feel like home. These are the friendships, the family bonds, the connections that have stood the test of time. These are the people who have seen me through my struggles, my triumphs, my silences, and my loudest moments. These are the relationships I hold close, the ones I nurture with all the care and love I have left to give. They're the ones I show up for, the ones I'll always make time for, because they see me for who I am, not for who they need me to be. At 70, choosing to avoid people isn't about rejecting the world. It's about embracing my world, the one I've carefully built over the years, the one that reflects who I am today. It's about protecting the peace I've fought so hard to find, about living in a way that feels true to myself. It's about acknowledging that my energy is finite, that I have a limited amount of time and emotional resources, and I need to invest those in ways that bring me joy and fulfillment. The freedom that comes with this realization is unlike anything I could have imagined in my younger years. I no longer feel the need to explain myself, to justify my decisions to others. I don't need to carry the weight of guilt for choosing peace over obligation. I've learned to live with intention, to surround myself with what nourishes me, and to let go of what drains me. This chapter of my life, at 70, isn't a chapter of endings. It's a chapter of new beginnings. It's a time of embracing the quiet, savoring the small joys, and learning to live more simply, more authentically. I've stopped chasing the things that don't matter and started to cherish the things that do. This phase of my life feels slower and quieter, yes, but it's also the most meaningful. It's the time when I'm finally in tune with who I've always been, but never fully understood until now. In many ways, this chapter feels like the most authentic part of my journey. It's the part where I've stopped pretending, stopped overextending, stopped seeking approval, and started truly living for myself. And I couldn't be more grateful for it. When I was younger, life felt like an endless race, one I was always sprinting through. There was this constant need to do more, to achieve more, and to prove that I was worthy of everything I dreamed about. It wasn't just about meeting external expectations. It was about my internal drive, the relentless pursuit of becoming something bigger, something better. Every day, it felt like I was running towards some distant finish line that never seemed to come into focus. And the goals. They were always shifting, never attainable in a way that felt satisfying. There was always another milestone to reach, another challenge to conquer, another next step to climb. This insatiable thirst for achievement pushed me forward, but it also kept me from fully living in the moment. I remember being so focused on the future that I couldn't see what was right in front of me. The laughter of friends, the beauty of a quiet afternoon, the warmth of a hug, they all became background noise to the noise of ambition. I realize now that in those years, I was often running on fumes, always exhausted from the chase. I would cross one finish line only to set my sights on the next, never permitting myself to pause, to reflect, or to appreciate the progress I had already made. That urgency, that restlessness, kept me moving forward in a blur, and while I was always looking ahead, I never stopped to look around, to appreciate the simple things, the things that now fill my heart with gratitude. But as time passes, things change. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the frantic energy of my younger years began to fade. The weight I carried, this invisible burden of always having to prove something to the world, and perhaps even more so to myself, began to loosen its grip. The constant striving and the constant comparison to others faded into the background, and with it, the overwhelming desire to be more, do more, or accomplish more. At this stage in life, I don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. Not to the world. Not even to my younger self. There's no more pressure to reach unattainable goals or race toward some abstract idea of success. Instead, I find myself drawn to the stillness that comes with simply being. Now that I've let go of that constant push, I've started to savor the quiet moments that used to pass me by unnoticed. There's a peace in these moments that I never knew existed before, and I'm only just beginning to fully appreciate it. I wake up early now, not with a sense of urgency, but with a sense of quiet joy. I watch the sunlight filter through my bedroom window in soft, golden beams, casting a warm glow across the room. It's the kind of light that fills me with a sense of possibility, as though the world itself is whispering, "This is enough. You are enough." I take time to sit with my morning coffee, savoring the taste, feeling the warmth of the cup in my hands, breathing in the aroma. It's such a simple thing, but it fills me with a kind of contentment that I never took the time to experience when I was rushing through my days. Even the laughter of my grandchildren, once a joyful but fleeting background noise, has become a symphony of joy. I remember their giggles the way I remember a favorite song, the sound that fills me up with such deep love and happiness. It's almost overwhelming. They run through the house with energy and abandon, their voices bubbling over with excitement. I used to hurry them along, not wanting to lose precious time, always aware of the next task I needed to do. But now, I let them lead the way, and I savor every moment. Watching their innocent joy reminds me of the purity of life, how everything doesn't have to be complicated to be wonderful. There's a quiet richness in these simple moments, a beauty in the ordinary that I could never see before. Turning 70 has brought with it a new perspective. I look back on my life, not with regret or disappointment, but with an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Of course, there were mistakes. Big ones, small ones, heartbreaking ones. There were moments of doubt, of failure, of wondering if I was on the right path, or if I had wasted time. And yes, there were losses, the kind that tear your heart out and leave you with a hole that you're never quite sure how to fill. But even in the most painful chapters, I now see how those experiences, however difficult, shaped me. They gave me strength. They gave me wisdom. They taught me empathy in ways that could never be learned from success alone. I see the mistakes not as failures, but as stepping stones, necessary parts of the puzzle of who I am today. And, in their way, they were just as important as the victories. This reflection isn't about regret. It's about understanding that every step, whether painful or joyful, has played its part in making me who I am. The triumphs are easy to celebrate, but the hardships, though hard, have been transformative. They've deepened my understanding of myself and others, and given me a well of strength I never knew I had. Each experience, each loss, and each victory has woven itself into the fabric of my life, creating a tapestry that is uniquely mine. But what I've come to realize is that this chapter of my life isn't just about looking back, it's about looking forward, too. I don't think the story is over yet. I know it isn't. There's something quietly exhilarating about the future now, a sense that there are still possibilities waiting to be discovered, even though I move through life more slowly. I may not have the energy of my younger years, and my body may not be able to keep up with the pace I once set, but my mind, my heart, those parts of me are still hungry. I still have dreams, desires, and a passion for life that hasn't dimmed with age. I feel a deep sense of excitement, knowing that there is still so much to learn, to experience, to create. There are new things to discover, even in the quiet moments of daily life. Whether it's tending to my garden, trying my hand at a new hobby, or simply sitting in stillness and listening to the world around me, I've come to cherish these seemingly small pursuits as some of life's greatest gifts. It's a different kind of growth now. It's not about chasing anything or proving something to anyone. It's about deepening my understanding of the present. It's about allowing myself to be curious and open to the world, without the need for grand achievements or dramatic changes. The joy is in the journey, not the destination. But perhaps the greatest gift this chapter offers is the freedom to live authentically. I no longer feel shackled by the expectations of others or the weight of societal pressures. I've let go of the need to please, to impress, to keep up with everyone else. I no longer rush through life, trying to fit in or meet some external standard of success. Instead, I've learned to say no to things that drain me and to say yes to what nourishes me. I've learned that I don't need to prove anything to anyone, not to the world, and not to myself. The freedom to simply be, to live according to my rhythm, is perhaps the most beautiful gift I've received in these later years. In this space of freedom, I find peace. And in that peace, I find joy. Not the kind that's measured by accomplishments, but the kind that comes from a deep sense of contentment, knowing that being is enough. Now, as I look to the future, I can't help but feel that the best is yet to come. Maybe it won't look like anything I imagined when I was younger, but I've come to understand that the beauty of life isn't in its grand moments. It's in the quiet, simple ones, the ones that fill the soul in ways that nothing else can. And for the first time, I'm truly ready to embrace whatever comes next, knowing that it will be enough because I am enough. This stage of life, as I reflect upon it, has become an unexpected teacher, guiding me through lessons I never anticipated but now treasure with all my heart. It's shown me the immense, transformative power of gratitude, a power so simple yet profound, so quiet yet undeniably present in every part of my being. There's a deep, soulful kind of gratitude that arises within me each day. Gratitude for the life I've lived, the beautiful mess of experiences that have shaped me, and the people I've loved and lost along the way. I think back on the relationships that have been my anchors, the connections that have nourished me, and I realize how much they've given me, how much we've given each other. And for all the lessons, painful or joyful, that life has gifted me, I am endlessly thankful. These lessons weren't always easy to learn, but they've brought me wisdom, strength, and resilience that I never thought I had within me. And as I stand here today, with the years I've been given, I am filled with awe and humility. I'm deeply grateful for the simple miracle of still being here, of still breathing, of still being present in this moment. The thought that I still have more time to live, more memories to create, and more opportunities to grow, fills my heart with gratitude, excitement, and a quiet wonder. Yet, as much as I embrace this stage of life, I've come to understand that it's not about glossing over the inevitable challenges that come with aging. Aging, like anything in life, brings its share of struggles, and there are moments, many moments in fact, where the weight of those struggles feels almost unbearable. There are the nights when loneliness creeps in like a shadow, when I find myself wondering what comes next, or when I feel the deep ache of missing the people and places that once filled my days with meaning and purpose. These are the moments that catch me off guard, moments when I'm reminded that time doesn't slow down for anyone. But even in these moments of sorrow and loss, I've discovered something quietly beautiful. There is a strength within me, a quiet resilience, that refuses to be extinguished. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 4 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Even on the hardest days, when I feel weary and unsure of what's to come, I remind myself that I've made it through so much already. I've survived moments that I thought would break me, and I've come out the other side stronger. So I trust in myself, even in the uncertainty. I trust that I have the tools I need to face whatever comes my way, even when the road seems unclear or daunting. At 70, life no longer feels like a race. It no longer feels like something I have to keep up with or measure against others. It's no longer about being faster or better or achieving some distant goal. Life at this stage feels like a journey, slow, steady, full of moments to savor and memories to cherish. And I've realized that the destination doesn't matter nearly as much as the path itself, the moments along the way that make this life uniquely mine. This chapter of life is about slowing down in a way that's not about giving up or retreating, but about fully embracing the present. It's about savoring the beauty that surrounds me, the little things that I once took for granted but now hold dear. I've found that there is an incredible joy in simplicity. The early morning sun peeking through the window, casting a soft glow across the room, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air, the laughter of friends, old and new, and the quiet comfort of a good book in my hands. These are the treasures of life that bring me peace now. They don't require much effort, but they are rich with meaning. I've also learned that there is strength in solitude. Being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. Instead, it's become a time for reflection, for listening to my thoughts and desires. In solitude, I've found a profound sense of self-acceptance and contentment in simply being without needing to be anything or anyone other than who I am in this moment. I've discovered that fulfillment doesn't come from external accolades or possessions. It comes from living authentically, from honoring the life I've built, the person I've become, and the love I've shared. This is my time, a time I've earned, and it's been a long time coming. I've spent many years caring for others, working to meet the expectations of society, family, and even myself. But now, at 70, I am permitting myself to live unapologetically. I've learned that the greatest gift I can offer myself is the freedom to be true to who I am, to embrace my quirks, my flaws, my scars, and my triumphs. There is no more striving for perfection or trying to fit into a mold that doesn't suit me. This is my time to celebrate the person I've become, to honor all that I've accomplished, and to find peace in knowing that I don't need anyone's approval but my own. And in that, I've discovered a kind of joy that transcends anything I've experienced before. This is the greatest gift of all, living authentically, without fear or shame. When I look at my life from this vantage point, I see it not as a series of endings, but as a series of beginnings. Each day is a fresh start, a new opportunity to embrace whatever life has to offer. I don't feel like I'm winding down. I feel like I'm beginning again, with a deeper understanding of myself and a clearer vision of what truly matters. And what truly matters, I've realized, is the quiet peace of living authentically, the joy of cherishing what is most precious, and the courage to let go of anything that no longer serves me. At 70, I've stopped chasing approval, stopped trying to meet other people's expectations, and stopped comparing myself to others. I no longer feel the need to prove anything. Instead, I find joy in the simplest of things: the sound of rain on the roof, the warmth of my breath, the love of those who choose to stay close, and the serenity that comes from within. This stage of life, though full of change and transition, is not about endings at all. It's about embracing new beginnings, finding purpose and meaning in what comes next, and living each day with intention and gratitude. I've come to believe that the greatest gift we can give ourselves at this point in life is the freedom to live fully, without apology or hesitation. To savor the beauty of every moment we're given, no matter how small or fleeting. Life at this stage isn't a race to be won. It's a journey to be lived, one beautiful moment at a time. And I plan to live it with all the gratitude and grace I can muster. Because this is the gift. As I reflect on everything we've shared today, I realize how much this stage of life has taught me about living with intention, embracing gratitude, and finding peace in the simple moments. I've learned that it's never too late to start anew, to embrace who we are, and to live unapologetically. I hope this video has inspired you to reflect on your journey, the lessons you've learned, and the ways you can live more authentically in the days ahead. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from today's reflection? Is there one lesson or insight that resonated with you the most? What is one thing you'll bring into practice in your own life moving forward? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and experiences. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insights and inspiration. Your support helps us continue to grow and reach more people who are ready to live with intention and gratitude. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video.